July 25th, 1956, 11:10 p.m. The Swedish liner Stockholm plows into the starboard side of the Andria Doria. For several minutes, the Doria and the Stockholm remain locked together. When they part, the damage is obvious. The Stockholm's 300-ton bow is virtually decapitated, but she remains afloat. On the Doria, 7 of her 10 decks and half of her fuel tanks have split open.
The Doria was only one day out of New York, so its fuel tanks were virtually empty. So what happened was, once the Stockholm sliced into the right-hand side of the Andria Doria, seawater, tons and tons of seawater started pouring in.
The rush of seawater into her starboard tanks pulls the Doria over. Captain Calamai orders the SOS.
The captain told me to speak by the loudspeaker. I have to say to the crew to go to the boats, to say to the passenger in Italian and in English to go to their master station.
Heading for lifeboats, passengers and crew make a horrifying discovery.
There was enough lifeboat capacity for 2,000 people, and it was only carrying 1,700. But because of the list of the boat, half the lifeboats could not be operated.
It's the Titanic all over again. A shortage of lifeboats means more than half the passengers face imminent death.
I remember holding on the railing, and you could feel that the ship was moving, was going down, because you couldn't let go. Otherwise, you will end up on the other side.
Even reaching the usable lifeboats is a struggle.
We got to the ledge, and we were told, grab a rope and slide down. I says, I'll never make it.
Everybody was pushing each other, pushing each other's head to get down faster, as fast as possible.
At one point, I slipped and just kind of froze a little bit on a ladder, and I kept saying, go, 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 go.
I says, I have to do it. Everybody else is doing it, so I did. You'll do anything to survive.
– 2 a.m. 3 hours since the collision. 6 ships have now answered the SOS and are sending over additional lifeboats. But it's still not enough. More than 900 passengers remain stranded on the Doria.
And all of a sudden, it's like God's miracle. I never forget it until I die. The Ile-de-France had appeared, coming for us.
The Ile-de-France, France's premier luxury liner, arrives just in time and releases 11 lifeboats. Through the early morning, more than 900 passengers board the Ile-de-France, and she heads to New York. "45 crewmen remain on the Doria, and 1 refuses to leave. Captain Piero Calamai.
He told me, maybe you go back to Genoa. Tell to my daughters that I am in peace with myself. I did everything I should do.
Calamai insists he will go down with his beloved ship. At 5:30 a.m., the final Doria crew board a lifeboat, along with a reluctant Captain Calamai.
As we circle, certainly is a sorry sight, a very sad sight indeed, to see the pride of the Italian fleet, Andria Doria, wallowing here in the Atlantic Ocean.
10 a.m., July 26th. Passengers and crew watch as the Andria Doria disappears below the waves.
When it sank, it was so slowly as it just went down. To me, it was like the dying swan. It's a beautiful dying swan. We cried and we're happy we are alive, but at the same time we just said, it's gone, it's no more.
Throughout the day, hundreds of survivors disembark in New York. Tony Pacquiano's mother, father, and 4 sisters have been separated during the rescue.
The K-Pan wound up in a Brooklyn pier, and we were met there by my cousin. When we met, he and his mother, they had told us that they had found my 3 sisters, but didn't know where my mother was.
Days later, Tony's mother arrives on the Stockholm.
When she did come home, you can imagine it's been a very emotional time, because she didn't know if we were alive. It was a big relief for all of us, basically, that we finally got together and we all survived, and none of us got injured.
Mother and your sister and your the Diana family was not so lucky. Nearly 50 years later, Gennaro Diana remembers waiting for news of his mother, brother, and sister. So tell me the story of your family and the Andria, Doria.
I remember we get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up especially, I was so excited to go to New York, with my father and my 2 sisters. Went to New York. All we do is wait and wait and wait and wait, for the news. And nothing happened. After 5 or 6 days, we find out that, didn't make it.
Gennaro's mother, brother, and sister all perished in the lower decks of the Doria. They are among the 51 souls lost at the point of impact. In 1964, Gennaro names his new daughter, Angelina Diana, after the grandmother she never met.
I was named after my grandmother, and I've always felt a certain pride about that, but unfortunately I never got to know her or my aunt and uncle. So I always kind of felt I missed a connection because I never met my grandmother.
Now, Angelina wants closure to this tragedy, and she wants answers. Why, in what was called the Great Rescue of the Century, did the Dianas lose 3 family members?
I remember being a little kid and just wondering what had happened. How out of all those people that made it, thankfully made it, only a handful didn't, and why were my relatives?
And we're going to the Andria, Doria, and I want to know if there's anything that I can do for you.
If you could put a piece of us, our lives, down there with them, a piece of our family to honor them, so in that way I feel like I'll be closer to them.